The message that destroyed everything. Welcome to Heartbound Ashes. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The wedding invitation fell from Olivia's trembling hands, landing face up on the kitchen counter. Her breath caught in her throat as she read the names embossed in elegant gold script. Nathan Pierce and Rebecca Montgomery request the honor of your presence at their wedding ceremony. But Nathan Pierce was Olivia's fiancé, or at least she thought he was. The invitation had arrived in a cream-colored envelope addressed to Ms. Olivia Chan at her apartment, the same apartment Nathan had a key to, the same apartment where he'd proposed to her just 6 months ago on bended knee with tears in his eyes, promising her forever. Olivia's hand shook as she pulled out her phone, her vision blurring with tears. She scrolled to Nathan's contact, her finger hovering over the call button. But something stopped her. Instead, she opened her laptop and typed, Nathan Pierce Rebecca Montgomery, into the search bar. What she found made her stomach drop to the floor. The perfect lie unravels. Social media pages bloomed across her screen. Photos of Nathan and a stunning blonde woman named Rebecca Montgomery. Pictures spanning back 3 years. Beach vacations in Malibu. Romantic dinners in Paris. Holiday celebrations with what appeared to be Rebecca's family. And in the most recent photo, posted just 2 days ago, Nathan was kissing Rebecca's hand, a massive diamond ring glittering on her finger. The caption read, "Can't wait to marry my soulmate. 3 years together, forever to go. Hashtag blessed beyond measure. Hashtag forever start soon." 3 years. Olivia had been with Nathan for 2.5 years. The mathematics of betrayal crashed over her like a tidal wave. Nathan had been with Rebecca first, which meant Olivia wasn't the fiancée, she was the other woman. Except she hadn't known it. Every business trip to Seattle, every family emergency back in Boston, every weekend he'd been too busy to see her. He'd been with Rebecca. Olivia's apartment suddenly felt too small, the walls closing in around her. She grabbed her purse and keys with shaking hands and did the only thing she could think of. She drove to Nathan's office. The confrontation. Pierce and Associates occupied the 15th floor of a gleaming downtown high-rise. Olivia had been here dozens of times, bringing Nathan lunch, meeting him after work, attending company parties where everyone knew her as Nathan's fiancée. Now, as she stepped off the elevator, every smile from the reception staff felt like mockery. "Is Nathan available?" Olivia asked, her voice surprisingly steady. The receptionist, Jenny, smiled warmly. "Oh, Miss Chan. He's in a meeting with a client, but I'm sure he won't mind if you—" "I'll wait." Olivia sat in the reception area, the wedding invitation clutched in her hand like evidence at a crime scene. 20 agonizing minutes passed. Finally, Nathan emerged from the conference room, laughing with an older gentleman in an expensive suit. When his eyes landed on Olivia, his face went pale. "Olivia, what a surprise. I thought you had that gallery showing today." She stood slowly, deliberately, and held up the invitation. "We need to talk. Now." Nathan's jaw tightened. He forced a smile for his client, mumbled an excuse, and guided Olivia into his private office. The moment the door closed, his charming mask slipped. "How did you get that?" His voice was cold, nothing like the warm, loving tone she'd grown accustomed to. "It was mailed to my apartment. Our apartment. The one where you proposed to me." Olivia's voice cracked despite her efforts to stay strong. "Who is Rebecca Montgomery, Nathan?" The truth cuts deeper than lies. Nathan sank into his desk chair, rubbing his temples. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he looked up at her with eyes that held no remorse, only irritation at being caught. "Rebecca is my fiancée. My real fiancée." The words hit Olivia like a physical blow. "You're real, what does that make me?" "It makes you a mistake," Nathan said flatly. "A beautiful mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. I met you at that charity auction 2 years ago, and you were so different from Rebecca. Passionate about your art, spontaneous fun. Rebecca is structured, planned. Her family expects certain things, and I've built my career partially through their connections. But you made me feel alive." Olivia's hands balled into fists. "So I was what?" "Your escape. Your little adventure while you planned a real life with someone else." "Don't make this dramatic," Nathan snapped. "You knew I traveled for work." You knew I had family obligations. I never promised you'd be my only priority. You proposed to me." Olivia's voice rose to a shout. "You got down on one knee in my apartment and asked me to marry you. You said I was your forever." Nathan stood, straightening his tie with infuriating calmness. "I got caught up in a moment. You were upset because your father had just passed away, and I wanted to make you feel better. The proposal was meant to comfort you, not bind me to anything." The cruelty of his words stole the breath from Olivia's lungs. Her father's death had been the darkest period of her life, and Nathan had been there, holding her through the grief, proposing during a moment when she'd felt utterly alone in the world. She'd thought it was love. It had been manipulation. The deeper betrayal. "Does Rebecca know about me?" Olivia demanded. Nathan's silence was answer enough. "She doesn't, does she? You've been lying to both of us. Does she know you have a key to another woman's apartment? Does she know you've been sleeping in my bed while planning a wedding with her?" "What Rebecca doesn't know won't hurt her," Nathan said coldly. "And it won't hurt you either if you're smart about this. Walk away quietly, Olivia. Forget this ever happened. I'll compensate you for any inconvenience." "Compensate me?" Olivia laughed bitterly. "You think money fixes this? You think I want your money?" "Everyone wants something," Nathan said, opening his desk drawer and pulling out a checkbook. "Name your price." 50,000? 100? I'll even write you a reference for gallery positions if you need it. Just sign a non-disclosure agreement and disappear from my life." Olivia stared at the man she'd loved, seeing him clearly for the first time. He wasn't the charming, successful architect who'd swept her off her feet. He was a calculating predator who viewed people as transactions, relationships as investments to be managed and discarded when convenient. "I don't want your money," Olivia said quietly, "but I want you to know something. You just made the biggest mistake of your life." Nathan smirked. "Is that a threat? What are you going to do, Olivia? Tell Rebecca? She won't believe you. Her family's lawyers will destroy any credibility you have. You're a struggling art curator with no family connections and no social standing. I'm an established architect with a spotless reputation and powerful allies. Who do you think people will believe?" The seed of revenge. Olivia walked to the door, her hand on the handle, then turned back. "You're right about one thing, Nathan. I am just a struggling art curator. I don't have powerful family connections or lawyers. But you know what I do have? Nothing left to lose. And that makes me far more dangerous than you realize." She left his office without another word, ignoring Jenny's cheerful goodbye, focusing only on putting one foot in front of the other until she reached her car. Only then, sitting alone in the parking garage with the engine running, did she allow herself to break down. She screamed until her throat was raw, pounded the steering wheel until her hands ached, and cried until no more tears would come. Then, exhausted and hollow, she drove home. But as she climbed the stairs to her apartment, something shifted inside her. The grief began to crystallize into something colder, harder. Nathan thought she was powerless. He thought she'd slink away quietly, another woman too ashamed and broken to fight back. He was wrong. Building the plan. That night, Olivia sat at her kitchen table surrounded by every photo, every text message, every email from Nathan. She documented everything, the dates he'd claimed to be traveling, the gifts he'd given her, the proposal photos her friend had secretly taken. She created a timeline, cross-referencing it with Rebecca's social media posts. The pattern was devastating and clear. Every time Rebecca posted about Nathan being away on business, he'd been with Olivia. Every family obligation had been a date with Olivia. Nathan hadn't just been cheating. He'd been orchestrating an elaborate double life with surgical precision. But Olivia needed more than evidence of an affair. Nathan was right that Rebecca's family had power and influence. If Olivia simply exposed the cheating, Nathan could spin it as a moment of weakness, a mistake he'd learned from. He'd apologize publicly, do some performative penance, and move on with his life relatively unscathed. No, Olivia needed something bigger. She needed to destroy not just his relationship but his reputation, his career, everything he valued more than the hearts he'd broken. At 2 a.m. inspiration struck. Olivia opened her laptop and began researching Nathan's professional projects. As an architect, his reputation was built on integrity, innovation, and trustworthiness. She knew he'd recently won a major contract to design a sustainable housing development for low-income families, a project that had earned him significant praise and media attention. She started digging deeper into the project specifications, comparing Nathan's submitted designs with building codes and sustainability standards. Her father had been a civil engineer before he died, and she'd spent countless dinners listening to him explain structural integrity, safety regulations, and the importance of ethical building practices. As dawn broke over the city, Olivia found what she was looking for. Nathan celebrated sustainable design cut corners on safety features to reduce costs, potentially putting future residents at risk. The violations were subtle enough that they'd passed initial review, but obvious to anyone who knew what to look for. Nathan had built his reputation on a foundation of lies, professional as well as personal. The alliance forms. Olivia knew she couldn't take Nathan down alone. She needed allies, people with the expertise and resources to help her expose him completely. Her first call was to Marcus Chan, her late father's former colleague and closest friend. "Uncle Marcus," Olivia said when he answered, "I need your help with something. It's about Nathan." Marcus listened in silence as Olivia explained everything: the double engagement, the betrayal, and most importantly, the safety violations in Nathan's housing project. When she finished, Marcus's voice was tight with controlled anger. "Your father never trusted that boy," Marcus said. "He told me once that Nathan smiled too much, talked too smoothly. Said he reminded him of a con artist in an expensive suit. I wish we'd listened." "Can you review the designs?" Olivia asked. "Officially as a licensed engineer? If I'm right about the violations." "If you're right, Nathan Pierce won't just lose a contract. He'll lose his license, face potential criminal charges, and never work as an architect again." Marcus paused. "Are you absolutely sure you want to do this, Olivia? Once we start this process, there's no going back." Olivia thought about Nathan's smirk, his casual cruelty, his confidence that she was too weak and powerless to fight back. She thought about Rebecca, who was probably planning wedding details right now, oblivious to the fact that her fiancé was a liar and a fraud. "I'm sure," Olivia said firmly. "Nathan thinks he can use people and discard them without consequences. It's time he learned otherwise." The investigation begins. Over the next 2 weeks, Olivia transformed from a heartbroken victim into a strategic warrior. Marcus confirmed her suspicions about the building design, documenting every violation with professional precision. But they needed more. They needed proof that Nathan had knowingly submitted fraudulent designs, not just made honest mistakes. Olivia reached out to her network in the art world, specifically to Isabella Torres, a gallery owner with connections throughout the city's elite circles. Isabella had always liked Olivia, had mentored her when she was starting her career. "I need information about Nathan Pierce," Olivia told Isabella over coffee, "specifically about his business practices, his reputation, anything that might indicate a pattern of unethical behavior." Isabella studied Olivia with sharp, knowing eyes. "I heard rumors about him and Rebecca Montgomery's engagement. I also heard rumors about him and you. I assume those rumors are both true." "They are." "Good," Isabella said crisply. "I hate cheaters, and I especially hate men who think they're clever enough to get away with it. I'll make some calls. Give me 3 days." True to her word, Isabella delivered. She discovered that Nathan had a history of cutting corners on projects, paying off inspectors, and using his charm and connections to cover his tracks. More damning, she found 2 former female employees who'd left his firm under suspicious circumstances. Both had signed non-disclosure agreements, but both were willing to talk if it meant stopping Nathan from hurting more people. The other woman. But the most crucial element of Olivia's plan required the cooperation of someone she'd never met: Rebecca Montgomery. Olivia spent days debating whether to contact Rebecca directly. It was risky. Rebecca might not believe her, might even warn Nathan that Olivia was building a case against him. But ultimately, Olivia realized that Rebecca deserved to know the truth. She deserved the choice that Olivia had been denied, the choice to walk away from a liar with her dignity intact. Olivia crafted her message carefully, attaching screenshots of text messages between her and Nathan, photos of them together, and copies of the proposal photos. She explained everything in clear, unemotional language, and ended with a simple statement. I'm not asking you to believe me immediately. I'm asking you to ask Nathan about me. Watch his face when you say my name. You'll know I'm telling the truth. And if you want to know more about who you're really planning to marry, meet me at Riverside Cafe tomorrow at 3 p.m. I have information that goes beyond just an affair, information about Nathan's business practices that you and your family have a right to know before legally binding yourselves to him. Olivia hit send before she could second-guess herself, then waited. The cliffhanger. The next afternoon, Olivia sat at Riverside Cafe, nursing a cup of coffee that had long gone cold. 3 o'clock came and went. Then 3:15. 3:30. She was about to leave, heart sinking with the realization that Rebecca had chosen to believe Nathan over her, when the cafe door opened. Rebecca Montgomery walked in and Olivia's breath caught. She was beautiful, tall, elegant, with perfectly styled blonde hair and designer clothes that screamed old money. But her eyes were red-rimmed, her mascara slightly smudged, and her hands shook as she approached Olivia's table. "You're Olivia," Rebecca said, her voice hoarse. It wasn't a question. "I am." Rebecca sank into the chair across from her, clutching her purse like a lifeline. "I confronted Nathan last night. Showed him your message. He denied everything at first, said you were a crazy stalker he'd met once at a business conference. But I've known Nathan for 3 years. I know when he's lying." She laughed bitterly. "Or at least I thought I did. Turns out he's been lying to me for longer than I could have imagined." Olivia slid a folder across the table. "There's more you need to know. It's not just about the affair, Rebecca. Nathan has been cutting corners on his architectural projects, risking people's safety for profit. The housing development he's designing, the one your family's foundation is funding, has serious structural violations that could endanger lives." Rebecca opened the folder, her hands trembling as she read Marcus's engineering report. With each page, her face grew paler. "My family's foundation," she whispered. "We're funding this project as our signature philanthropic initiative. If this gets out, if people are hurt because of Nathan's negligence, our family's reputation." She looked up at Olivia, and in her eyes was the same cold fury that Olivia felt burning in her own chest. "What do we do?" Olivia leaned forward, her voice steady and determined. "We destroy him. Together. Completely. But I need to know, are you ready to take down the man you love? Because once we start this, once we expose him publicly, there's no going back. Your engagement will end. Your family will be humiliated. The life you planned with Nathan will disappear." Rebecca was silent for a long moment, staring at the engineering report. Then she looked up, and Olivia saw steel in her expression. "The man I love doesn't exist," Rebecca said quietly. "He never did. So yes, I'm ready. Tell me what we need to do." Olivia pulled out another folder, this one containing the full plan she and Marcus and Isabella had developed. Nathan's sustainable housing project is set to break ground in 6 weeks, with a major press conference and ceremony. Your family, city officials, and media will all be there celebrating Nathan as a visionary architect. That's when we strike. We expose not just the affair but the fraudulent designs, the safety violations, everything. We make sure Nathan loses everything in the most public, humiliating way possible. Rebecca studied the documents, her lawyer's mind clearly evaluating every detail. "This will work," she said finally. "My family's legal team will cooperate once they see this evidence. They'll want to distance themselves from Nathan as quickly as possible. But there's something else." She looked up, meeting Olivia's eyes. "Nathan has been lying to both of us for years. Who knows how many other women there might be? How many other corners he's cut? How many other people he's used and discarded? Then we find them," Olivia said fiercely. "Every woman he's lied to. Every employee he's mistreated. Every corner he's cut. We build a case so comprehensive that Nathan Pierce doesn't just lose his career. He faces criminal charges. We make sure he can never hurt anyone again." As the two women sat together, former rivals transformed into allies, Olivia felt something shift in the universe. Nathan had thought he could pit women against each other, keep them isolated and powerless. Instead, he created something far more dangerous. Two intelligent, determined women with nothing left to lose and everything to gain from his downfall. The game had changed. And Nathan Pierce had no idea what was coming for him. But just as Olivia and Rebecca were sealing their alliance, Olivia's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I know what you're planning. Meet me at the Harborview Hotel, room 412, tonight at 10 p.m. Come alone. If you want to really destroy Nathan Pierce, I have information that will shock even you. Information about where his money really comes from, and who he's really working for. Olivia showed the message to Rebecca, whose face went white. That's impossible, Rebecca whispered. Nathan's business is clean. My family vetted him thoroughly before we got engaged. Unless... She trailed off, realization dawning in her eyes. Unless everything we think we know about Nathan Pierce is a lie. Unless he's been playing a game so much bigger and more dangerous than we ever imagined. Part 2. Heartbreak and Revenge. Word count 2,000 words. The mysterious informant. Olivia stood outside room 412 of the Harborview Hotel, her hand poised to knock, her heart hammering against her ribs. Rebecca had wanted to come with her, but the message had been explicit, come alone. So Rebecca waited in the hotel lobby, phone in hand, ready to call the police if Olivia didn't emerge within 30 minutes. Taking a deep breath, Olivia knocked 3 times. The door opened immediately, revealing a woman in her mid-40s with sharp, intelligent eyes and an expensive business suit. She looked Olivia up and down with the assessing gaze of someone used to evaluating threats and opportunities in equal measure. Miss Chun, the woman said. I'm glad you came. My name is Diane Porter, and I'm a forensic accountant specializing in fraud investigation. Please come in. We have a lot to discuss. Olivia stepped into the hotel room cautiously. Diane had transformed it into a makeshift office. Laptop open on the desk, documents spread across the bed. A whiteboard propped against the wall covered in names, dates, and connecting lines. How do you know who I am? Olivia demanded. And how did you know I was investigating Nathan? Diane smiled grimly. I've been investigating Nathan Pierce for 8 months. I know about you, about Rebecca, about the housing project violations. I also know things you don't, things that will change everything you think you understand about your ex-fiancé. The truth behind the lies. Diane gestured to the whiteboard. Nathan Pierce isn't just a cheating architect cutting corners for profit. He's a money launderer working for Thomas Blackwell, one of the most sophisticated financial criminals on the East Coast. The Sustainable Housing Project? It's not about helping low-income families. It's about cleaning dirty money. Olivia felt the room tilt. That's impossible. Rebecca's family foundation is funding the project. They would never. They don't know, Diane interrupted. That's the genius of Nathan's scheme. He approached the Montgomery Foundation with a legitimate-looking proposal, got their funding and their reputation backing him, then used their credibility to secure additional investors, who are actually Blackwell's shell companies. The Montgomery Foundation's money is real, but it's being mixed with millions in laundered funds. When the project goes over budget, which it will, that's when the laundered money gets cycled through contractor payments, material purchases, all perfectly legal-looking transactions. Olivia sank into the desk chair, her mind racing. If this is true, why haven't you gone to the authorities? Because Thomas Blackwell is connected to some very powerful people, politicians, judges, law enforcement. If I go to the wrong person, evidence disappears, witnesses recant, and I end up dead in an accident. I've been building a case quietly, gathering irrefutable evidence. But I need something Blackwell values enough to draw him out into the open. Nathan, Olivia realized. You need Nathan to lead you to Blackwell. Exactly. Nathan is Blackwell's golden boy, charming, credible, able to move in elite social circles without raising suspicion. If Nathan goes down publicly for the housing project violations, Blackwell will have to act. He'll either try to silence Nathan or extract him before he can testify. Either way, Blackwell exposes himself. Diane pulled out a folder. But here's where it gets interesting for you. I've been monitoring Nathan's communications, and I discovered something about your relationship. She handed Olivia a printed email chain. As Olivia read, her blood ran cold. The cruelest betrayal. The emails were between Nathan and Thomas Blackwell, dated from 2.5 years ago, right around the time Olivia and Nathan had met. Target identified. Olivia Chun, art curator, daughter of civil engineer Marcus Chun Sr., father recently deceased. Subject emotionally vulnerable. Gallery connections provide access to wealthy collectors who could serve as future investors. Recommend romantic approach. Establish trust over 6 to 12 months. Another email dated 3 months later. Relationship with Chun progressing as planned. She's introduced me to several high net worth individuals. However, subject is more intelligent than anticipated, asking questions about business practices. Recommend maintaining distance while cultivating her network. And finally, the email that shattered whatever remained of Olivia's heart. Chun becoming a liability. She's asking to see financial documents, wants to be more involved in business decisions. Proposing marriage to secure her loyalty and prevent her from looking too closely at operations. If necessary, will terminate relationship after Montgomery wedding is finalized. Olivia's hand shook so violently that the papers fluttered to the floor. Nathan hadn't just cheated on her. He'd targeted her from the beginning. Her father's death, her grief, her vulnerability. He'd seen it all as an opportunity. Every moment of their relationship had been a calculated manipulation designed to use her connections in the art world to expand his criminal network. "I'm sorry," Diane said softly. "I know this must be devastating, but I thought you deserved to know the truth, all of it." Olivia wiped away her tears with shaking hands. The grief threatened to overwhelm her, but beneath it burned a fury so intense it threatened to consume her entirely. Nathan hadn't just broken her heart. He'd turned her trauma into a weapon, used her father's death as leverage, transformed her love into a tool for criminal enterprise. "What do you need from me?" Olivia asked, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. The plan takes shape. For the next hour, Diane laid out her plan. Olivia would continue gathering evidence against Nathan's architectural fraud, while secretly working with Diane to document the money laundering. Rebecca's family foundation, once alerted to the scheme, would become crucial allies. Their legal team could initiate an audit that would force Nathan to produce financial records that would reveal the laundered funds. "But here's the key," Diane explained. "Nathan can't know we're onto the money laundering until the very last moment. If he suspects anything, he'll disappear, and so will Blackwell. We need Nathan to feel confident, even arrogant. We need him to believe he's getting away with everything right up until the moment we spring the trap." Olivia nodded slowly, understanding the dangerous game they were about to play. "What about Rebecca? She deserves to know." "Absolutely," Diane agreed. "In fact, her cooperation is essential. The Montgomery family name carries weight with federal prosecutors. With their support, we can guarantee this investigation gets the resources and protection it needs." Olivia texted Rebecca to come up to the room. When Rebecca arrived and heard Diane's revelations, she looked like she might be sick. "My family," Rebecca whispered. "Our foundation that we've spent 3 generations building. That represents everything my grandparents worked for. Nathan was using it as a front for money laundering? He was counting on your family being too trusting, too eager to do good in the world, to look too closely at the details," Diane said. "It's not your fault. Nathan is a professional con artist working for an even more dangerous criminal. But now we have a choice. We can either let Nathan and Blackwell get away with this, or we can work together to bring them down." Rebecca looked at Olivia, and in that moment, both women recognized the same burning determination in each other's eyes. They'd been manipulated, used, betrayed in the cruelest ways possible. But they refused to remain victims. "Tell us what we need to do," Rebecca said firmly. Playing the part. The next 6 weeks were the most difficult of Olivia's life. She had to continue pretending everything was normal, even as she knew the full extent of Nathan's betrayal. He called occasionally, checking if she'd calmed down enough to accept his buyout offer. Each conversation was torture, but Olivia played her part perfectly, acting hurt but defeated, broken but resigned. "I just want this to be over," she told Nathan during one particularly painful phone call. "I'll sign your non-disclosure agreement. I just need some time to process everything." "That's my smart girl," Nathan said patronizingly. I knew you'd see reason eventually. Take all the time you need. Once you sign, we can both move forward. Meanwhile, Rebecca had an even more challenging role. She had to continue planning her wedding to Nathan while secretly working with Diane to expose him. She attended cake tastings and venue tours, smiled for engagement photos, and endured Nathan's affectionate touches, all while knowing he'd targeted her family from the beginning. How do you do it? Olivia asked Rebecca one night as they met secretly to coordinate their evidence gathering. How do you let him touch you, kiss you, knowing everything you know? Rebecca's smile was cold and sharp. I think about the moment he realizes we've destroyed him. I imagine his face when he understands that the women he thought were weak and powerless have systematically dismantled everything he built. That fantasy gets me through each disgusting moment. The unexpected ally. 1 month before the groundbreaking ceremony, Olivia received an unexpected visitor at her gallery. A young woman in her early 20s, nervous and pale, approached Olivia after the last customer left. Ms. Chan? My name is Amanda Pierce. I'm Nathan's younger sister. Olivia's shock must have shown on her face because Amanda held up her hands. I know. You have every reason to hate anyone with the last name Pierce. But I need to talk to you about my brother. Please, just 5 minutes. They sat in Olivia's small office, and Amanda pulled out her phone, showing Olivia a series of text messages. Nathan doesn't know I'm here. He'd kill me if he found out. But I've been watching him destroy people my entire life, and I can't stay silent anymore. These messages are from 3 years ago. They show Nathan planning to seduce you specifically because of your father's death and your connections in the art world. Olivia studied the messages, which corroborated everything Diane had revealed. Why are you showing me this? Amanda's eyes filled with tears. Because my brother is a monster, and I'm tired of protecting him. When we were kids, Nathan was different, kind, funny, protective. But after our parents' divorce, something broke in him. He became obsessed with money and status, with using people as tools to get what he wanted. I've watched him destroy woman after woman, business partner after business partner. Each time I told myself it wasn't my business, that family loyalty meant staying quiet. She wiped her tears angrily. But then I saw your picture in a news article about an art exhibition. You looked exactly like my best friend from high school, the girl Nathan dated when we were teenagers. The girl who killed herself after Nathan humiliated her publicly when he was done using her. Looking at your picture, all I could see was Sarah's face. And I knew I couldn't let Nathan destroy another woman the way he destroyed her. The sister's revelation. Amanda's story poured out in a torrent of guilt and grief. She told Olivia about Sarah, a talented artist from a working-class family who'd won a scholarship to their elite private school. Nathan had pursued Sarah relentlessly, charmed her family, promised her everything. Then, after using her art connections to get his early projects noticed, he dumped her publicly at prom, spreading cruel rumors that she'd been stalking him. Sarah couldn't handle the humiliation, Amanda whispered. She was already struggling with depression, and Nathan's betrayal pushed her over the edge. She left a note before she died, explaining everything Nathan had done. But my parents paid off her family, buried the story, made sure it never affected Nathan's future. The revelation explains so much about Nathan's pattern of behavior. This wasn't just greed or narcissism. It was deeply rooted sociopathy, the behavior of someone who'd learned early that money and charm could erase any consequence. I have copies of Sarah's note, Amanda said. I've kept it hidden for years. If you're planning to expose Nathan, this proves his pattern of manipulation goes back over a decade. It proves this isn't just about business fraud. It's about a predator who's been destroying lives since he was a teenager. Olivia took Amanda's hands. Thank you for coming forward. I know this must be incredibly difficult, essentially testifying against your own brother. Nathan stopped being my brother the day Sarah died, Amanda said bitterly. I'm just sorry it took me so long to find the courage to act. But I need to ask, what are you planning? How are you going to stop him? Olivia made a decision. Amanda deserved to know the full plan, deserved to be part of bringing her brother to justice. Over the next hour, she explained everything: the money laundering investigation, the coordination with Rebecca and Diane, the plan to expose Nathan at the groundbreaking ceremony. When she finished, Amanda was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "There's one more thing you should know. Nathan keeps a personal safe in our family's vacation cabin in the mountains. He doesn't think anyone knows about it, but I saw him opening it once. He keeps documents there. Things he doesn't want anyone to find, not even Blackwell. If you could access that safe, you might find evidence that could seal his fate forever." The mountain cabin. 2 weeks later, Olivia and Rebecca made the 3-hour drive to the Pierce family's secluded mountain cabin. Amanda had given them the security codes and assured them that Nathan wouldn't visit. He was too busy with final preparations for the groundbreaking ceremony. The cabin was luxurious but isolated, surrounded by dense forest with the nearest neighbor miles away. Olivia felt a chill as they entered, imagining how many of Nathan's victims might have been brought here, isolated and vulnerable. The safe was hidden behind a bookshelf in the master bedroom. Using the combination Amanda had provided, Olivia opened it with trembling hands. Inside, they found a treasure trove of evidence that exceeded their darkest expectations. Ledgers documenting years of financial fraud. Photographs of Nathan with known criminals, including several of Thomas Blackwell. Flash drives labeled with women's names. Video evidence of Nathan's calculated seductions, his victims' vulnerabilities captured and cataloged like trophies. But the most damning evidence was a leather journal filled with Nathan's own handwriting. Page after page detailing his manipulation tactics, his strategies for identifying and exploiting vulnerable women, his contempt for the people he'd used and discarded. One entry, dated just after their engagement, made Olivia's stomach turn. "Proposed to Olivia tonight." She cried, said yes immediately, completely bought the performance. She's so desperate for love after her father's death that she'll believe anything. The funeral connections alone will be worth millions once I've properly cultivated them. She actually thinks I love her, as if someone like me could love someone like her. She's a means to an end, nothing more. Once the Montgomery wedding is finalized and I've maximized her network utility, I'll discard her like all the others. Rebecca read the entry over Olivia's shoulder, her hand gripping Olivia's shoulder in silent support. "He*s continue 11:31 not human," Rebecca whispered. "No one with a functioning conscience could write something like that." They photographed every document, copied every flash drive, documented everything. The evidence was overwhelming. Enough to not only end Nathan's career, but potentially put him in prison for decades. As they prepared to leave, Rebecca's phone rang. It was Diane. "We have a problem," the forensic accountant said urgently. "Blackwell knows something's wrong. He's been asking Nathan questions, pressuring him to move up the money transfer timeline. Nathan's getting paranoid. We need to execute the plan earlier than scheduled, at this week's investors' meeting instead of the groundbreaking ceremony. If we wait, Nathan and Blackwell might disappear. The trap is set." The investors' meeting was scheduled for 3 days later at the Montgomery Foundation's downtown headquarters. It would be attended by city officials, the foundation board, potential investors, and media covering the Sustainable Housing Initiative. Olivia, Rebecca, and Diane worked around the clock to coordinate their final preparations. Marcus Chun prepared his engineering report for official presentation. Amanda agreed to testify about her brother's history of manipulation. Rebecca's family legal team, now fully informed of the money laundering scheme, positioned themselves to freeze Nathan's assets the moment allegations became public. Most crucially, Diane had worked with a trusted federal prosecutor to arrange for FBI agents to be present at the meeting, ready to make arrests based on the evidence they'd gathered. The night before the meeting, Olivia barely slept. She reviewed her statement dozens of times, ensuring every word was precise and damning. She thought about all the women Nathan had destroyed, all the people who trusted him only to have that trust weaponized against them. But she also thought about the woman she'd become through this process. 6 weeks ago, she'd been broken, humiliated, ready to accept Nathan's buyout and slink away in shame. Now she was a warrior, part of a coalition of women who'd refused to stay silent, who'd transformed their pain into power. The calm before the storm. The morning of the investors' meeting, Nathan called Olivia one last time. "I heard you've been spending time with Rebecca Montgomery," he said, his voice carefully casual but with an undercurrent of suspicion. "That's interesting, considering you didn't know her before." Olivia forced herself to sound nervous, defeated. She reached out to me. She wanted to know the truth about us. I told her everything, that we were together, that you'd proposed, that I didn't know about your engagement to her. She was surprisingly understanding. I'm sure she was, Nathan said coldly. And what did you two bond over? Your shared victimhood? Your mutual heartbreak over the terrible Nathan Pierce? Something like that, Olivia said. She's actually a nice person. I feel sorry for her, marrying someone like you. Nathan laughed. Rebecca's tougher than you think. She comes from money and power. She understands that relationships are transactions, not fairy tales. Unlike you, she won't make this personal or messy. She'll play her part, I'll play mine, and we'll both benefit from the alliance. If you say so, Olivia replied. I need to go, Nathan. I have a meeting at the gallery. Before you go, Nathan said, his voice dropping to something almost tender, I want you to know that I did care about you, Olivia. In my own way. You deserved better than what I could give you. For just a moment, Olivia heard a hint of the man she thought she loved. The charming, vulnerable Nathan who'd held her while she grieved, who'd whispered promises in the dark. But she knew now that man had never existed. It had all been performance, calculated manipulation designed to exploit her pain. Goodbye, Nathan, Olivia said, and ended the call. She would never speak to him again. The cliffhanger. As Olivia prepared to leave for the investors' meeting, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Don't go to the meeting. Nathan knows everything. He's planning something. You're all in danger. A concerned friend. Olivia's blood ran cold. She immediately called Rebecca and Diane, but both phones went straight to voicemail. She tried Amanda, no answer. A second message arrived. Blackwell has people at the Montgomery Foundation building. If you expose Nathan today, people will die. Call off the meeting. I'll contact you with a safer plan. Olivia stood frozen, her mind racing. Was this a legitimate warning or Nathan's last-ditch attempt to stop them? If Blackwell really had positioned people at the building, confronting Nathan publicly could turn into a bloodbath. But if she called off the meeting, Nathan and Blackwell might disappear, taking their evidence of crimes with them. Her phone rang, Rebecca's number finally. Rebecca, thank God. I just received. This isn't Rebecca, a man's cold voice said. This is Thomas Blackwell. I have Rebecca Montgomery, Diane Porter, and Amanda Pierce. If you want to see them alive again, you'll do exactly what I tell you. Come to the Riverside Warehouse, Pier 47 alone in the next 30 minutes. Bring all copies of evidence you've gathered against Nathan and me. If you contact police, if you tell anyone, these women die. Do you understand? The line went dead, leaving Olivia staring at her phone, her heart pounding, facing an impossible choice that would determine not just her revenge but the lives of the women who'd become her allies and friends. Part 3. The Ultimate Payback. Word count 2,000 words. The impossible choice. Olivia's hand shook as she stood in her apartment, phone clutched in her white-knuckled grip. 30 minutes. 3 women's lives hung in the balance. And Thomas Blackwell, a man connected to organized crime and political corruption, now held all the cards. Or did he? Olivia's mind raced through her options. She could go to the police, but Blackwell's warning had been clear. Any official involvement would result in immediate executions. She could go to the warehouse alone as instructed, but that would almost certainly be a trap with no guarantee Blackwell would release his hostages. Then inspiration struck. She grabbed her laptop and made a video call to Marcus Chan, who answered immediately. Uncle Marcus, I need your help. Now. It's life or death. The counterplan. Within 20 minutes, Olivia had assembled a team. Marcus Chan and his network of retired military contractors, men her father had worked with on secure government construction projects. Isabella Torres and her connections to private security firms. Even Amanda Pierce's estranged father, Richard Pierce, who'd heard about his daughter's kidnapping and was eager to redeem himself for years of enabling Nathan's behavior. We can't involve police, Olivia explained rapidly. Blackwell has connections in law enforcement. But we can't let him win either. We need to rescue Rebecca, Diane, and Amanda while simultaneously ensuring Nathan and Blackwell face justice. Marcus studied the situation with military precision. Riverside Warehouse, Pier 47, I know that location. It's isolated, multiple exits, perfect for an ambush. Blackwell expects you to come alone and scared. Instead, we give him something he's not prepared for. Over the next 15 minutes, they formulated a desperate but viable plan. Olivia would go to the warehouse as instructed, wearing a hidden camera and microphone that would broadcast everything to Marcus's team positioned nearby. The moment Blackwell revealed himself, admitted to his crimes on camera, federal agents would move in. Not local police Blackwell might have compromised, but FBI agents Diane had been working with from a secure, untainted unit. It's risky, Richard Pierce admitted, his face haggard with worry for Amanda. If anything goes wrong, if Blackwell's people are more prepared than we anticipate, then we improvise, Olivia said firmly. Nathan and Blackwell have spent years thinking they're smarter than everyone else, that women are too weak and emotional to fight back strategically. It's time to show them how wrong they are. Walking into the lion's den, the riverside warehouse loomed against the evening sky, windows dark and broken, graffiti covering its walls, a monument to urban decay in the abandoned industrial district. Olivia approached slowly, her heart hammering but her resolve absolute. The warehouse door stood slightly ajar. Olivia pushed it open, stepping into cavernous darkness broken only by shafts of light from holes in the ceiling. "I'm here," she called out, her voice echoing. "I came alone just like you demanded. Where are they?" Lights suddenly blazed, temporarily blinding her. As her eyes adjusted, Olivia saw Rebecca, Diane and Amanda tied to chairs in the center of the warehouse, duct tape over their mouths, terror in their eyes. Standing behind them were 3 armed men in dark suits, professional muscle, not street thugs. And stepping out from the shadows was Thomas Blackwell himself, face to face with evil. Blackwell was in his 60s, distinguished-looking with silver hair and expensive clothes, the kind of man who could walk into any boardroom or country club without raising suspicion. His smile was cold and calculated. "Miss Chun, you're smarter than Nathan gave you credit for. I'll grant you that. Most of his victims simply accepted their fate and disappeared. You, however, became problematic." He gestured around the warehouse. "Hence our current situation." "Let them go," Olivia demanded. "I have all the evidence you wanted, bank records, the journal from Nathan's safe, everything. Release them, and I'll give it all to you." Blackwell laughed. "You really think I'm going to let any of you walk away? Nathan was useful until you made him a liability. Now I need to clean up this mess permanently. That means you, your friends, and frankly Nathan himself. He's become too arrogant, too reckless. After tonight, there will be tragic news about 5 women who died in an accidental warehouse fire, and Nathan Pierce will disappear to a remote location where he'll never be found. So you're going to kill all of us," Olivia said, making sure her hidden microphone caught every word. "Including Nathan, your longtime associate?" "Business is business," Blackwell said with a shrug. "Nathan served his purpose. He's not the first person I've had to eliminate, and he won't be the last. The sustainable housing project was brilliant. The Montgomery Foundation's involvement gave us legitimacy, while allowing us to launder over $50 million. But you had to ruin it by digging into things that didn't concern you." He pulled out a gun, pointing it casually at Olivia. "Now I gave you clear instructions. Where's the evidence?" "The tables turn. Right here," Olivia said, pulling a flash drive from her pocket. "But before I hand it over, I have one question. Why do you think I came alone?" Blackwell frowned. "Because I told you to. Because I have leverage, 3 hostages." "No," Olivia said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You have 3 extremely intelligent, resourceful women who knew you'd never let them go alive. Which is why they helped me set this trap." At that moment Rebecca, who'd been working her hands free from loosely tied ropes for the last 5 minutes, ripped the tape from her mouth and shouted, "Now!" The warehouse exploded with activity. Marcus Chen's team burst through hidden positions, flashbang grenades disorienting Blackwell's guards. FBI agents swarmed through the main entrances, weapons drawn, shouting commands. The whole operation took less than 30 seconds. Perfectly coordinated chaos that Blackwell never saw coming. As armed agents tackled Blackwell to the ground, he looked at Olivia with genuine shock. "How? You underestimated us, Olivia said coldly. Every woman you thought was weak and helpless was actually gathering evidence, building alliances, planning your downfall. Diane Porter has been an FBI informant for 8 months. Rebecca's family legal team has been coordinating with federal prosecutors. Even your secure communications were being monitored. And this entire conversation has been broadcast live to the U.S. Attorney's Office. She held up her phone, showing the live stream that had been recording everything. You just confessed to murder, conspiracy, money laundering, and threats against federal witnesses. On camera, in front of dozens of law enforcement officers. The color drained from Blackwell's face as the full scope of his trap became clear. Nathan's reckoning. As FBI agents led Blackwell away, Olivia's phone rang. It was Nathan. Olivia, listen to me very carefully. I just heard about Blackwell's arrest. I'm willing to testify against him if you help me negotiate immunity. We can work together on this. I can give prosecutors everything they need. Olivia put the call on speaker so everyone could hear. You want immunity? After everything you've done? After targeting me when my father died? After using Rebecca's family foundation as a front for criminal enterprise? After destroying how many lives over the past decade? I was just following Blackwell's orders, Nathan said desperately. He threatened me, forced me to do things I didn't want to do. I'm a victim here too. Really? Olivia asked. Is that what you wrote in your journal? Let me read you one of my favorite entries. Proposed to Olivia tonight. She's so desperate for love after her father's death that she'll believe anything. Does that sound like someone being forced to manipulate people? Silence on the other end of the line. It's over, Nathan, Rebecca said, stepping forward. FBI agents are at your apartment right now. You have nowhere to run. Your assets are frozen. Your business partners are turning state's evidence. Even your sister testified against you. You're going to spend the next 20 to 30 years in prison, Diane added. And unlike us, you'll be doing it alone. Because everyone you've ever used has finally decided you're not worth protecting. Through the phone they could hear sounds of a scuffle, FBI agents shouting commands. Then a new voice came on the line. Nathan Pierce is in custody. Good work, everyone. The call ended, leaving silence in the warehouse. The aftermath. The next 6 months brought a whirlwind of legal proceedings, media attention, and difficult but necessary healing. Nathan Pierce and Thomas Blackwell were tried together in a case that dominated national headlines. The evidence Olivia and her allies had gathered, the journal, the financial records, the video confessions, created an airtight prosecution that even the best lawyers couldn't overcome. Nathan received 25 years without possibility of parole. Blackwell got life in prison. Several of Blackwell's associates, including corrupt officials who'd helped cover his crimes, faced their own charges. But the real victory went beyond just the criminal convictions. The Montgomery Foundation, rather than being destroyed by the scandal, emerged stronger. Rebecca's family used the case to implement comprehensive oversight reforms in philanthropic organizations nationwide. They established the Rebecca Montgomery Whistleblower Fund, providing resources and protection for people who exposed corporate and financial crimes. Olivia's art gallery became a hub for exhibitions focused on survivors of manipulation and abuse. She worked with Amanda Pierce to create programs helping young people recognize and resist toxic relationships. Together, they visited schools and community centers, sharing their stories not as victims, but as warriors who'd fought back and won. Diane Porter was promoted to senior special agent and became the FBI's leading expert on financial fraud and money laundering. She continued working with Olivia and Rebecca, investigating similar schemes across the country. Healing and new beginnings. 1 year after Nathan's arrest, Olivia stood in her newly expanded gallery, hosting an exhibition called Resilience Rising. The walls were covered with artwork created by survivors of narcissistic abuse, financial manipulation,